Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous presentation, we learned what is data and information, what is called data structure, different types of data structure, real life applications of data structures. In this presentation, I am going to cover what is data type, what is an abstract data type, and some examples of abstract data type. Before knowing what is abstract data type, you must know what is a data type. If you want to store any data as your program runs, you need a placeholder which is nothing but a variable. Let's say in C programming, you must declare the variable before its usage. To declare a variable, you need to indicate its data type. So your data type indicates the type of data that a variable can hold. Actually, your data type represents two things. One is possible data values, which means it indicates what type of data value that your variable can hold. And next is all possible operations on the data. Let me explain this thing with an example. Let us consider this integer data type. Here, as I told you, it represents two things, data value and operation. With this int data type, we can store all integer values like 10, 20, 100, 1000, 10,000, like that. Integer values you can store with the help of this int data type. And next is operations. Operations like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and modulo is also possible with int data type. But whereas if you want to store a character value like A, B, C, that is not possible with this integer data type. And let me show you another example. And next is float data type. The data values, it can store values like decimal numbers with decimal point like 2.4, 4.5. So these values you can store with the help of float data type. And next is operations like addition you can perform, subtraction, division and multiplication you can perform. And here with this floating point data type, you cannot perform modulo operation. Modulo operation is possible with int data type but not with the floating point data type. Likewise, for each data type, operations and data values are defined already. With the clarity of what is data type, we move on to the next topic, abstract data type. Shortly, we call this as ADT. We'll see the definition of abstract data type. It is an user-defined data type. When I say user-defined data type, it is created by the programmer, not by any programming language. We have built-in data types. So built-in data types are created by the programming language. Like example, int, float, character, long, double, boolean. So these are all examples for your built-in data types. It is defined by the programming language itself. But whereas your user-defined data types are not so, it is created by the programmer. For example, structure, enum, union. So these are all examples for your user-defined data type. So your abstract data type is a user-defined data type and it contains collection of data values and its associated operations like your data type. Okay, but it will hide your implementation details. It is hidden from the user, which means the implementation part is hidden from the user for the simplicity's sake. And next it represents what operations are to be performed, but it will not show how these operations are done, which means it answers for what but not for how. Abstract means hiding information from the user, which means here we are hiding the implementation details from the user. Now we'll see real world example of ADT. So we all know this is a smartwatch. So with the help of smartwatch, we are going to understand what is ADT. Okay, when you want to buy a smartwatch, we'll be keen on the specification, which means when I say specification, display size, OS, memory details, sound details, all those things. So these all specification details, I call it as data for the smartwatch. Okay, we all know ADT, our abstract data type, represents two things. One is data and another one is operation. So data for my smartwatches, the display size, OS, memory, sound, like my specification. So these are all my specification, comes under data. And next is operation. So operations are nothing but we can say features or functions of the smartwatch. So obviously it is a watch. So we'll be having clock function, alarm. Then since it is a smartwatch, you have play music feature, and another one is health monitoring. So I've listed only some of the operations of the smartwatch. So just consider this alarm operation. If you want to set an alarm, just click the alarm option in this smartwatch display interface. And if you click the particular option, and you can you can mention the alarm time, and at the right time you will get the alarm. The user will not bother about the internal process, like how exactly at the correct time you are getting the notification or you are getting the alarm, right? Any health monitoring options are present in your smartwatch. If you click that, definitely that information like heartbeat rate, your pressure level, sugar level, everything will be displayed. Here also we are not bothering about what type of sensors internally used, what coding what coding is written. So all those things we are not bothering about. So now we'll see the ADT of the smartwatch. Here we have taken C++ language. So class smartwatch. So I have specifications, which means data, right? So that RAM size, memory, screen size, your display size, and OS version. So everything comes under your data part. Okay. Next is we have operations. Okay. So clock operation, alarm operation, play music operation. We have health monitoring. We have mentioned here. So we have converted that to ADT. So these are all the operations we have. This is a data structure example. So here I have taken list ADT. So this list is nothing but a collection of elements. We all know that. So this list can be implemented using two ways. One is array data structure. With the array data structure we can implement, or else we can use linked list data structure to implement this list. So we'll see array implementation of list now. So here I have taken integer array. I have declared int a of 7. So this int is nothing but my data type. This A is my array name and the 7 represents my size of the array. Since it is an integer array, it can hold only integer values 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 60 and 70. So this 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 60 and 70, I call it as array elements. Okay. And the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are my array index values. So with the help of this index value only, I can access any particular data item in array. If I want to update this 15 with the help of this subscript 1 only, I can do it. If I want to remove this 30, it is in the position 3. Index value is 3. So with the help of this index value only, I can remove it. I can search with the help of this index value. So I can do any manipulation with the help of this index value only with the array. Next we'll create an ADT for this list. We all know ADT represents two things. One is data values and another one is operation, right? So this is a list ADT. So what type of data it can hold? Since it is an integer, we have declared array as integer, right? So it is an integer array, so it can hold only integer values. So all integer values are possible here. So that is for your data. And next is operations. So what type of operations you can perform in a list? Obviously, when a list is given, you can search for a particular item. You can search for a particular item. You can insert any new item. Okay, you can remove, which means you can delete any item. You can update, which means you can modify any item. You can sort, which means you can arrange the list items. So these are nothing but my operations. So these are operations on my list. So with data and operations together will make your ADT. For list, this is your abstract data type. With this list ADT, the user can only know the possible data values and the possible operations on the list. Here, the implementation part is completely hidden. When I say implementation part, just consider this insert function. The user need not bother about how this function is coded, or else what programming language like C, C++ or Java, what programming language is being used. So all these informations are hidden from the user. Now we'll see an implementation of list operations, and I have used C language. I have used C language for implementing this array operations. So this list will perform two things. One is displaying an element and another one is updating a value. Okay, so since this is an integer array, I have declared int a of 5. 5 represents my size, and then this 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 are my array elements I have initialized to this value. And next is I'm going to display a value from the array. So which value I'm going to display? Here printf is used since I'm using C language. So here a of 1. So 1 is nothing but this 1 represents index value of the array. Just see the index position. At index position 1, which element is residing? 15. So this statement will print 15 as output. Clear? And next is I'm going to update my array element. So here a of 4 is equal to 70. This 4 index value represents which element? At 4, 50 is there, right? So I'm going to update. I'm going to replace this 50 with this 70. Okay. So the statement will update 50 with 70. Clear? So like this I can able to insert as well as I can update value with the help of C language. Okay. Now in future, if I want to change from C language to some other language like Java, C++, I can do it, because here that is the advantage of ADT, because with the help of this what I'm doing, I'm going to separate my user program as well as my implementation part. Okay. So that if I want to change from C language to C++ or Java in future, that can be done without affecting my client program. Implementation, I have used array. As I told you earlier, list can be implemented using two ways. One is array and another one is linked list. So here I have used array. So in future, if I want to change from array to linked list, that is also possible here. I can update this code with another data structure. So if I do also, that will not, this implementation part will not disturb my user program. User can perform all the operation as usual without any problem. Recap of the session. In this presentation, we have discussed what is data type. So your data type represents two things. One is data value and operations that can be performed on that data. Shortly, we call this as ADT. So it is a user defined data type. It also represents two things. One is data and another one is operations. The thing is that it hides the implementation details. Next, we have discussed some applications of ADT, and data structure examples are list ADT, stack, queue, etc. are examples of your abstract data type. With this, we come to an end of the session. We'll meet you in another session. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.